What's up, people? One Up Punch here. So we're going back to DeadSide. The main reason why is because the game will be releasing from early access into 1.0 December 5th, 2024. So what does this mean? Well, the game will be getting new vehicles and cars, motorbikes, and hover stuff, hovercraft, as well as base building 2.0, rating 2.0, progression 2.0, map expansion, lots more comfort items, which is a whole new mechanic to where if you have comfort inside your base, like dartboard, TV, or something like that, you will gain additional benefits like max HP gain, duration for cooldowns, and some other stuff. Then you have new endgame locked bunkers, new foraging system, fast travel stations across the map, which is definitely happening in PTS, a bleed damage, and then some other stuff going on. Let me be completely clear to you, after playing about 5 or 6 days straight of the PTS server, is the game ready for 1.0 release, which is going to be happening in about 2 days? No, I do not see it. First of all, you have a lot of rendering problems. Whenever you're going into any area, it doesn't matter if it's a big city, small village, or even just a normal envoy walking around with a case, you will have constant rendering issues no matter what they are, and this will happen everywhere I've gone to on the entire map. They also said that the map expansion will be happening from 50 kilometers to 250. Don't know if this is a good idea as well if you're having those rendering issues and it's server based, because I have a 2070 Super, a i7 10700 from my CPU, and 32 gigs of RAM. And even on the lowest possible settings, I still have these issues no matter what I do. But I might be the small minority when it comes down to it, because not enough people were able to tell them the feedback problems that we were having, or they just didn't care that much and wanted to put it out before Christmas. Who knows what they were trying to do. Still, some of the new features that they had for DeadSide was the fast travel. This is pretty new. I'd say pretty recently in the last couple updates. We didn't have any real means of going around the map besides running, and there's auto running in the game. They changed it from V to the home key, and then used V for something else. I can't remember what the button was. But they also did a lot of weird stuff with the items. You weren't able to go and find a lot of items in the game. You'd have to find them in corners inside villages, going to cities on second and third floors inside of the apartment buildings, and then you'd only find them that were highlighted. This kind of reminds me of a couple of games I played, like Zero Survival, Miscreated, and something a little bit along the lines of Scum, in terms of finding items on the ground that's highlighted for you, or if you press tab and then anything near you can pick up. The other thing I dislike about this game is that they have now this reputation rank, and the only way to get reputation is by getting a bunch of metal scrap. Nothing else gets reputation gain. If you have electronic parts, if you have circuit boards, if you have anything else, even rebar, you can't use that for reputation besides metal scrap. And the first level to level 1 is 100. After that is 700 to level 2, and then beyond that, level 3, level 4, and I think level 5 is max. If you don't have a high enough reputation, you can't get the unlocks. Weapons, ammo, tools, consumables, doesn't matter. Whether you want canned soda, canned sardines, you want to get Med-X, or something else, you have to unlock it with reputation. And this is annoying, because some of the servers in the game, when you're trying to find metal scrap, it's not going to be that much. You're not going to find 700, because every time you want to get reputation, it costs 1 metal scrap per 1 point of reputation. And this was not an issue. You didn't have to worry about reputation gain before this started happening in the PTS server. You would just go, get the money, and then you would buy whatever you wanted, whether it be a scope, suppressor, magazine size, whatever. It didn't matter. And now that they have this, I don't know if they're going to keep it for 1.0, because personally, it doesn't need to be there. I'm currently in a PvE server. The other thing is that there are some people complaining and bitching that PvE does not exist. That's bullshit. If they do decide to get rid of it for 1.0, then at that point I would be calling some bullshit after that and getting mad. But right now I've been playing in a PTS server that is mostly, and if not only, PvE, mainly showing what's going on with these NPCs. If you don't understand DeadSide, some people call it a light stalker, and I wouldn't really call it light stalker either. I'd call it more of a kind of a light DayZ. There are some things around you, like mostly NPCs that are shooting at you, and they have different types of armor, weapons, different tiers of like backpacks and so on. Then you have a couple of animals like a wolf, a deer, and then some ducks if you go down inside the swamp area. technically speaking, if you wanted to actually talk about Rust's legacy for a moment before they actually did the change and it became Rust what it is now, beforehand they had the red wolves and bears and then sometimes some zombies at some of the other like settlement locations. That's kind of like what it is, except it's mostly NPCs that are like military people or some militia members, and they have different guns. You can find AKSs, Mosin Ks, shotguns, sawed-offs, and SMGs like Scorpions. They're not very hard to deal with unless you go off to doing missions that are tier 2, tier 3, and then the highest being a star or 1 star, which is basically the highest level of trying to deal with the NPC encampments. Let me be real for a second. When it comes down to dealing with 3 stripes or the 1 star, they are very difficult to deal with. They actually have higher accuracy. They don't spray around you like you do see with normal 2s and 1s, and they do have the better guns. They have AKSs, RPKs, even some high-tier bolt-action rifles like normal Mosins. So kind of watch out when you're dealing with them. If you have a car or if you have another vehicle that you can go behind, highly recommend that as your place of cover before you go off and fight anything higher than what you're trying to do. Like say if you have a rig or a police vest, that will help you if you're trying to take damage, but mostly trying to soak up that damage with the vehicle. Speaking of the vehicles, they have different ones. They have a couple different motorcycles, 2-wheelers with just 1 seat. They also have different colored motorcycles and another one that has a sidecar that lets you carry another person. So instead of the one guy behind you that's sitting on the same seat you are, you can have another guy right next to you. So there's 3 people that can go at the same time. They also have Jeeps that have like 30 slot carry limit inside the trunk. And then they have a hovercraft and then some other vehicles you can drive that I haven't seen yet. However, those are the 3 main that I've found. The hovercraft, the truck, and the motorcycles. The motorcycle goes about 70 miles an hour unless you're going down a hill. That's about 80. And then if you have the truck, it's about 10 less, which is 60, but it has more carrying capacity and has 4 seats. And then, of course, the hoverboard or the hovercraft. I don't know how much storage that has, but it goes pretty fast for on water. So when you're going off and dealing with these other units, there's going to be some other NPCs walking around. In order for you to understand where they are or if they're near you, you have to make this walkie-talkie. And the walkie-talkie can be made by crafting. The crafting in this game has changed. And it used to be a lot more like difficult to deal with. Like you couldn't understand what was happening. It didn't have pictures. It just had, here's the item, here's what to craft, and then there you go. They've made it more simplified. If you want to learn how to craft something like a bandage, sterilized rags, or whichever, it will tell you what you need and how to craft it inside the inventory slots. So if I have vodka and I have rags, I can make sterilized rags that are 3 of them, and it gives me 15 HP apiece, rather than just normal rags, which is 7. If you want to make a bomb or something that blows up a door of another person's base, you would need a remote detonator, which is a mobile phone, electronic parts, and I think it's like 5 plastic explosives. And then if you want to make dynamite, you need 7 dynamite and then a rope to make a bundle of dynamite to blow up the doors or the buildings. Crafting in the game has been pretty decent. I remember using it quite a lot even if I didn't understand what the hell I was doing, but now they make it more simplified by showing the actual item that's highlighted or even showing that you can make something in that listing. So whenever you're trying to go off and do, again, more rags or make some Med-X or some pills, maybe even make yourself a sawed-off shotgun if you have no ammo, because when you start off in a game, any server, you will only have a knife, and that's about all you're going to get, unless it's moddable, and then they give you a gun anyway. If you can get the sawed-off shotgun and ammo for it, you're better off. Don't use the knife, because if you try using the knife, you'll get planted constantly by an NPC, even using an SMG or just a pistol. So here are my closing thoughts before the end of the video when it comes down to DeadSide. Is the game worth $25? It's hard to really say because it's online only PvE and PvP. That is, if they do decide to remove PvE, then it's PvP only, which will suck because you won't be able to casually run around and do stuff like I'm doing currently right now on the PTS server. The other thing is that if they don't fix the rendering issues or the problems that are currently going on with PTS, then you're going to have more of a problem when you have it go to launch than just having it stay in early access for another couple of months. That being said, it's the developers, they do whatever the hell they want, and it's their game. I'm not going to force them, I'm not big enough of a channel to have that much of an opinion on it, but this is how I truly feel. I feel like the game should be put out for another couple of months, and then released in 2025 of next year, whether it be in February or March, and then be able to mess with the rendering problems, deal with the map if they want to make it bigger, and then probably put some more PTS time for the different shooting, hit registration, how armor works, bullet penetration, and so on. The game is pretty fun for what it is, And I mean, for $25, if they added a single player option later on, like how they did for H1Z1 when they did Just Survive, I mean, I'd be even more happy to play a game like this. My problem with online-only games is this, is that if you don't have players playing it, what's the point of playing the game? You can go up against NPCs all day and then have no interaction with anybody, but once you have all the guns unlocked, all the bases made, and have all the resources, the game is just boring and there's nothing else really to do. That being said, do I think that PvE should stay in the game? Yes, absolutely, especially for brand new players that have no idea what the hell is going on. So I mean, keeping something that is basically PvE friendly or new player friendly is the best thing you could do for a game. That being said, I have really nothing else to talk about before the 1.0 release, December 5th, 2024 for DeadSide, and I've been One Nut Punch as per usual. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully when they do release it into 1.0 for release, that it's not going to have all these problems, and that it will be a good game on launch, and that everybody can have fun with it. But anyway, thanks for watching as per usual. I'll see you in the next one.